In our top story tonight, Communist North Korea has fired yet more missiles into the sea. For some reason, North Korea thinks this is really going to matter, that this is going to really change something. No, what it's going to do is the more antics that it pulls off, the more sanctions will be leveled against it. North Korea is upset that the UN has passed a new round of sanctions against it because of its rogue bad behavior. North Korea is also threatening the world by saying it's going to conduct another nuclear test within about a month. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition, but every time that North Korea fires missiles into the sea, you got to shake your head and laugh and say, "Go communism." In Romania, believe it or not, a politician has now been sentenced to spend 2 years in prison because of breaking the law. What did he do? Well, it seems that he ordered 60 tons of fried chicken. Now, I'm not making this up. It seems that he ordered 60 tons of fried chicken to be given out to voters as bribes in exchange for their vote. You can't make this stuff up. It seems that increasingly, more and more people, especially the movers and shakers who really form the American political scene, are extremely concerned over the prospect of a Donald Trump presidency. Global concern is also being expressed by various foreign leaders. In the media, today's Washington Post had an editorial by their editorial staff, which is begging the grand old party, the Republicans, to please do something to stop Donald Trump, even though the majority of those voting in the Republican primaries support Trump. In other words, they're ignoring the will of the people. I'm going to read to you now part of the Washington Post's editorial comments today because they are a little bit on the shocking side of things. Normally the Post doesn't do this. The Washington Post is owned by Amazon.com owner, billionaire Jeff Bezos. Near the end of the editorial, the Washington Post says, "There are some Americans, Democrats in particular, who are happy with the Republican Party self-destruct with Mr. Trump at the helm. We cannot share in their equanimity. For one thing, though Hillary Clinton, the likely Democratic nominee, would be heavily favored, a Trump defeat is far from sure. For another, the country needs two healthy parties and, ideally, a contest of ideas and ideology, not a slugfest of insults and bigotry. Mr. Trump's emergence already has done grave damage to American civility at home and prestige abroad. The cost of a Trump nomination would be far higher." I understand the Washington Post's point. However, when they claim that we need two healthy parties, they're right, we do. But that's not the Democrats and the Republicans. In fact, the reason Donald Trump is so popular, at least one of the key reasons, is because most voters are fed up with the two-party system because both parties have let down the country. Under the so-called watchful eye of the Democrats, this is a party that claims to be the defenders of the middle class. The middle class is no longer the majority of America's population. It used to be, but no longer. It has shrank some 10% while Obama has been president. And while I understand and agree that it's not only Obama's fault, this problem has been going on for decades, the fact is there's been only two parties in power. Therefore, there are only two guilty parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. What Americans are saying by voting for Donald Trump or even a Bernie Sanders is that we need a viable third party alternative. I've been saying this since the 1990s. It looks like most Americans now are starting to wake up to what has always been obvious. In order for there to be real change, we have to stop electing politicians that continue to deliver nothing but chump change. Speaking of the presidential contest for 2016, the city of Cleveland is going to host the Republican convention. They're going to spend some $50 million just on beefed up security. They do expect riots there, and of course the liberal la-la left will do everything they can to disrupt the convention, disguised as free speech. Another note about the presidential contest for 2016, although Ted Cruz remains in the race, he might as well quit today, because in order for him to beat Donald Trump, he would now have to get 85% of the remaining vote. That's not going to happen. That's not in the real world. It is an impossible fantasy. On the Democratic side of the equation, Bernie Sanders is in a similar tough situation. For Sanders to pull off an upset over frontrunner Hillary Clinton, he's going to need to secure almost 75% of the votes now going forward. That is also not going to happen. The most that these two candidates can do is hope that God smiles on them and gives them the nomination, or in the case of Sanders, maybe he can force Clinton to continue to move to the left. Whether she really will stick to any of her promises, well, she's Hillary Clinton. It's highly unlikely that she will do so. What we do know about her is that she'll say anything, perhaps do anything, to get elected. That has been her track record. In the world of music, Madonna, the pop music icon, actually pulled down the top of one of her fans that she invited on stage. The woman whose top was removed, exposing her left bare breast, said it was no big deal. In fact, her mom posted on Facebook that she was honored and proud that Madonna spanked her daughter. The media, of course, has gone crazy all over this, and that's probably what Madonna intended, because Madonna is a master, like Donald Trump is, of gaining media attention.